Okay, so I have been reading some stories and thought I share mine so it can help others. So 6 years ago, 2009, I, 26 yo, met a beautiful woman, 24 yo, who I very much fell in love with. 2 years later, we got married and I did everything a man needed to do for his women. House, car, vacation, and even the helping around the house and paying her the attention women are so desperate for. I wasn't rich, but I make okay money, 53,000 yearly. She didn't work and we didn't have children, so she spent it all day laying around the house. I was okay with that, I just wanted her to be happy. Please note I'm a good-looking guy and I keep in shape. Always have and always will. I am an exercise freak. Well, at least that's what my friends call me. Sorry, off topic. Anyways, 2 years into our marriage, she started being distant for no reason. I tried taking to her and even asked to go to counseling with me. She wouldn't tell me what was wrong and didn't want to try fixing our marriage. One night after a whole day of me taking her out shopping, spent over 400 on her, we were in bed and I tried to initiate sex. She pushed me away and said, "Ew." I can't believe that those words would hurt so much that in an instant I fell out of love. I'm not gonna lie, I cried. I'm 5'10", 230 pounds of pure muscle, and a 5'2", 120 pounds woman made me cry like never before. Okay, I cried like a bitch, fuck you if you judge me. The next day I spoke with a friend of mine who was a computer nerd and he helped get into her email. Facebook and I could even see from my computer everything she was doing on hers. I got all the info I needed. She was cheating with a sports bar owner who was 48 years old and was 5'6" overweight white guy. I couldn't understand until I digged further and found out he had money. He also was married and the money was hers, not his. I kept cool. Okay, it's a lie, my friend did all the thinking for me and kept me cool. I drove up to her house one day and introduced myself and we had a long talk. This woman was furious. He had done this to her before. That same night I got home, she asked where I was at all night. My response was, "Since when the fuck you care?" and just walked away from her. She was shocked because I never was disrespectful to her. She walked behind towards the room yelling, "Why am I being such an asshole?" I said to her, "Leave me the fuck alone," but bitches like to push the wrong buttons. I had little to no respect for her and my mind was just playing back the night she said, "Ew." We got into an argument and she threw a cup of water at me. That's when she knew she fucked up. I did something that I would never have thought I would have done to a woman. I jumped over the bed, gripped her by the neck, and literally lifted her up. Her eyes were in shock, and you could see the fear in her eyes. That's when I noticed what I was doing and let go of her. I said to myself, "I'm going to jail." She began crying, saying, "You promise you would never touch me." I responded saying, "And you promise you would always be faithful." She then realized I knew but wasn't aware of how much. She quietly grabbed her things and left. Year later, we were divorced, and she was living with the bar owner who then left her to go back to his rich wife 2 months after it was finalized. The house was sold, and we both took half. It wasn't much because we only had the house for 5 years. We split a little over $13,000, and I took my half and used as a down payment for my new home. She got no alimony because we were only married for 3 years and separated 9 months during the 3 years. I also had proof of her indiscretions. Fast forward to now, 2016. I ran into one of her friends while in the mall, and she told me my ex was searching all over for me. I told her I didn't care, and that chapter of my life is over. She told me the sappy story that my ex was really sorry for what she did and couldn't stop crying over it. She was on depression medication and blah blah blah. I tuned out, to be honest. I don't why, but I agreed to meet up with my ex over dinner. When I saw her, it was strange. She didn't change a bit, but I didn't find her as attractive as I once did. Don't know how to explain it. She is a gorgeous girl. She apologizes and was very honest for once with me. I asked why. I was good to her and help her out. I know it wasn't because of sex. Was it just for the money? She had her head down the whole time with tears. She said yes. I feel like such a whore. I wanted nicer things. I was very materialistic, but I have change. I'm not going to lie. I really did feel bad for her, but I was over it. She remembered that I changed with her from one day to another. The look I gave her was different, and she asked when was the moment I stopped loving her. And how was I able to fall out of love so quickly? I told her it was the night she made the "you" remark. In the middle of the restaurant, she began crying like a baby. She was loud and people were looking. We paid the bill and walked out to finish the conversation. She said she was sorry, and she never at any time found me disgusting. She was just trying to emotionally detach herself from me. Either way, it didn't matter no more. I couldn't believe a word, and I was done. I told her I forgave her and hoped she would find someone that would make her happy. She was expecting for us to work it out again, but the whole entire time I was with her, I was glad I wasn't with her. That's my story. I learn a lot talking to people who cheat and reading some of the post here. Cheaters are selfish and only worry about their own desire and happiness. They find any excuse to justify what they did, but if they were that unhappy, they would have left. It's easy to spot one. They always judge you according to their own conditions. If your spouse always wants to know where you're at and wants to go through your Facebook, internet history, or cell phone, trust me, they are up to no good. The next story you will hear will be about a man who suspects his wife of cheating on him with his best friend, and the signs that led him to that conclusion. Learn how to handle the situation to take initiative and protect yourself and your marriage. Sorry, I need to vent. I suspect my wife is cheating on me with my best friend. I had wrote this story also on another site. Most comments believe there is something going on and that I'm not crazy. Years ago, my best friend went on a few dates with this really attractive girl. He said he was going to bang the hell out of her. He was extremely attracted to her. He introduced me to her. After 2-3 weeks, she broke it off with him. I honestly don't know how far it got in them weeks, but I know my best friend, he is a hound. She and I bumped into each other a lot on the singles scene. We started hanging out a lot together. I ended up hooking up with her soon after, and I eventually married her. We are in our late 20s and have been married for 3 years now with no kids. We don't get to spend much time together during the weekdays. She works 8 a.m. 5 p.m. I work 3 p.m. midnight. My best friend is still a bachelor, single, and available. He works a similar schedule to my wife's. He took it pretty well when my wife and I first hooked up. He was my best man at my wedding. Now here's the things that bother me. They are way too touchy and friendly with each other. My wife and best friend are always play fighting, throwing soft punches at each other's bodies. They have tickle fights. He once sat on top of my wife and tickled her till she cried mercy. Sometimes he walks past my wife and tickles her ribs for no reason, and she does the same to him. I don't enjoy watching another guy touch my wife, and he does it pretty often. There's this time when a bunch of us friends were at the beach. My wife didn't want to go in the water, it was kind of cold, so she was tanning on the sand. Some reason my best friend wanted her in the water with him. He picked up my wife and carried her, who was in her bikini, and threw her into the water. I did not enjoy seeing his hands on my wife's bare stomach and her on his shoulders. She then tried to dunk him under. She was on his back with her breast pressed against him and her legs wrapped around him. At one point, he had my wife tight from behind and slammed her into the water. Yes, it did anger me seeing my wife 90% naked wrestling with my 90% naked best friend in the water. It felt like they messed around in the water forever, but I'm pretty sure it was closer to a minute or two. The whole time I was in a bit of shock at what was going on. I didn't know how to react. I didn't want to make a scene in front of my other friends. I'm not the jealous type, but the image is still stuck in my mind. My best friend texts her more than he texts me. I have read some, and it's borderline flirting. A while ago, we had a small get-together at my place, just chilling and enjoying a few drinks with some friends. I had a little too much, so I went to sleep around midnight while my wife hung out with my best friend and the few remaining friends. Around 3 a.m., I woke up to use the bathroom. My wife was not in bed yet. Went to the living room and noticed everybody had left except my wife and best friend. They were alone sitting next to each other on the sofa. I know just sitting isn't cheating, but with so many seats and space available, I don't understand why they were next to each other. Their thighs were side by side up against each other. Plenty of space left on that sofa. They were really close to each other. What could they be doing this late at night alone? Can't be that much to talk about. I suspected something weird going on, but I ignored it. The next day I noticed a small red mark that looked like a hickey on her shoulder. I asked how she got that. She said didn't know. There was another time while I was at work. She went out with some gal pals of hers. One of these gal pals is a friend of mine who is more loyal to me. This female friend of mine told me my best friend supposedly randomly showed up there. I was told my wife and best friend flirted all night. They were caught seen dancing on the dance floor. According to my friend, at times, both of them disappeared from the group for a good 10-15 minutes. Neither of them smoke. I have thought maybe they were just both in the bathroom at the same time, but honestly, I doubt it. My female friend, too, suspects something between those two. When I asked my wife about her night out, she failed to mention that my best friend showed up. I have been secretly reading her text messages. I read these text messages. Later on, I look at it again, and they're all deleted. Why would there be reasons to delete their text conversations? I haven't given any clues that I suspect anything. I see texts asking her what she's doing tonight. He's trying to invite her out to hang out with him. I work nights on the weekdays, so it's hard to keep track of her. I remember coming home from work one night, and there were empty beer bottles in the recycle bin. My wife does not drink beer, and I know it wasn't me. My gut feeling tells me my best friend was over having a few drinks with my wife. I didn't ask her about it. I asked her how was her day. She didn't mention anything about them beer bottles. For all I know, he's been coming over every weekday while I was at work. At any social gathering, those two are always attached by the hips. Strangers would probably assume they were together. With other single women around, he rather converse with my wife, and she rather talk to him over her gal pals. I was at work one Friday night. Wife went out with some coworkers and she had a little too much. She was not able to drive, so she went through her phone, and from all the people she could had called, she called my best friend to pick her up. He lives on the opposite side of town. She had so many other people who lived closer to call, and she chose him. I've been just playing dumb and naive. I don't have any evidence to accuse her. I have asked her if there's anything going on between her and my best friend. She denies it, saying they are just good friends. Since then, things have been a little more awkward, and the texts have stopped between the two. I have had a friend drive by my place a few times while I'm at work to see if he sees my best friend's car. Nothing yet. But I do have a 2-car garage. It may be parked in there. She's gotten more cautious. She occasionally goes out Thursday or Friday nights. I'm no fool. I know my best friend shows up. There's so many other incidents I can name, but it must stop. My sex life has declined ever since my wife has been spending more time with my best friend. I'm stuck on second shift. I can't get on first due to seniority length of employment there. I have no college education, so to find a job that pays close to $25 in HR is a blessing. I know to save my marriage I need to quit my job, but I've been asking myself, is my marriage already over? Another question I've been asking myself is who would she choose, me or my best friend? Every time I see my best friend, it reminds me of what could be going on behind my back. There's this rift between me and my friend now. I have not brought it up with him yet, but I'm sure my wife has. Our friendship is a little torn due to a girl. Do you think there's something going on, or am I going crazy? Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like this video if you like it. Also put a bell so you don't miss new videos. See you soon.